Welcome to Human Factors Cast, your weekly podcast for human factors, psychology, and design.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Human Factors Cast. This is a special bonus episode where we are taking a look at the Neuroergonomics Conference 2021. We're recording this live on September 9th, 2021. I'm your host, Nick Roome. I'm joined today by Mr. Blake Arnsdorff.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
Hey, man. I'm good. So we're going to actually sit here. We're going to break down the schedule of events for the Neuroergonomics Conference. And we're going to take a look at just kind of what's going on. If you are watching live with us or watching this, we will bring up a little visual aid here. But for everyone who is listening, we'll talk through these. So I do want to talk about just the schedule of events here. This will start on Saturday, September 11th. And so that first weekend, it looks like it's all workshops, right? There's Saturday, September 11th, it's all workshops. Sunday, September 12th is all workshops. Any of these workshops standing out to you, Blake?
I would love to go through a workshop. Now, this is not super applicable to anything I'm doing, but the eye tracking in VR for active participants, that would be fun. It would just be a nice skill builder to understand how to use eye tracking in a VR setting and things you could do with it. Also, of course, you know me, I've become a little bit of an ML nerd. So anything machine learning based, and they've got a workshop also about machine learning for cognitive load interference with combining this with physiological signals. That would be really cool to learn about because I just like the idea of algorithms and things. But what about you, Nick? Any kind of cool workshops you wish we could attend?
Blake, those two were the ones that stood out to me as well. I think the other one that could be interesting here is virtual reality for behavioral research. This one's happening at 2 p.m. This is also a Unity workshop. So I'm wondering if it's, more kind of behind the scenes of what you can do in Unity. There's a little bit more information here on the program itself, and you can check this out for yourself. We'll put a link down in the description of this episode so you can find it. But yes, I think those three, we're kind of biased. We have a lot of the same interests. So I think those three are kind of fun to look at. What about on Sunday here? There's a couple of interesting ones that stand out to me on Sunday, and I'm going to pick them out first so that way you don't steal mine. I'm looking at eye tracking in VR for active participants. I think that one could be a really fun follow-up to the first day because it's the same one. I just realized I just picked the same one from the first day. It's a two-parter. So look at that. So it looks like a lot of these are two-parters. But I think some of the other ones that maybe aren't two-parters could be interesting, such as the Unfold Toolbox workshop. I have no idea what that is, but it looks like it's an EEG tool that combines EEG with eye tracking. So that's just the short glimpse that I could take a look at there. Anything stand out to you on the second day?
Well, here's one that kind of pops my brain in half. Is apparently there's for EEGs, most of the time you're using a cap and you're like measuring brain waves and stuff like that, or electrical stimulation. Well, apparently there's an ear module that you can now measure EEGs with a lot of reliable results, and so they're doing a workshop on it specifically about how it can be useful in everyday life, and I think that's amazing. I'm actually gonna say that, of course, part 2 of that Unity workshop sounds awesome because I actually didn't know that they have an entire experimental framework that's developed in Unity through Steam's VR system. And I think that would be amazing to learn about, just to understand like how you can use Unity in an experimental setting as a follow-up to the first one. I have to say, I would love to be a part of the social events here because I'd never been to the Neuroergonomics Conference before. It would be in a different country for some people, and so going to the social Easter egg hunt would be kind of fun, just to understand what it's like to mingle with people from this specific region and people from around the world that are interested in neuroergonomics.
Yeah, there's to be fair here, there's a lot of opportunities for social interaction. I think it's really important, especially with this virtual venue. We've kind of previewed the venue on the show before. It's kind of like this digital a digital game where like it's almost like an MMO where you can walk around and interact with the environment. It's a conference in a game is what it looks like. It's in this software called Gather, or Gather Town is the location of the conference because it's an all virtual event. I want to get into Monday's stuff going on here. We do have an opening, so introductions and awards. Typically see these at conferences, but I'm really excited about this keynote speech here. This is 2 p.m. This is Central European Standard Time. So for us, I think this is like 4 a.m., which I will definitely be up for, which is saying something here. This is Body Representation in Virtual Reality. This is by Mel Slater. Basically, they're going to talk about, how experimental studies are measuring the body, because the body is always there, but in virtual reality, it might not be. I think this is really interesting. Any thoughts on this keynote here, Blake?
That sounds amazing. I mean, that was the first thing I was going to pick out from this list for sure, because that's such a cool problem to have to deal with when you're talking about VR and how you kind of handle that and how people perceive it, what it means for immersion, that kind of cool stuff.
Yeah, I think this conference has a lot of stuff that's right up our alley. So you have showcases over the next hour. You have a passive BCI Grand Challenge. And so that would be cool to attend. Sounds a lot like the student design competition from HFES. Then you have a plenary on brain-computer interfaces. And this is awesome because we talked a lot about BCIs on the show before. It'd be cool to hear about it from the people who are actually working on this stuff. Because you and I, Blake, we've not worked on BCIs. We've talked about Neuralink and kind of the sexy headlines on the show, but actually sitting down and listening to the people working on this stuff for mental task-based brain-computer interfaces would just be, it's going to be awesome. I'm so looking forward to this, and I'm actually getting more excited now as we're talking about it. I'm really glad we're doing this now.
Yeah, because this particular one is actually dealing with like things I would really be interested in, because this is that application base BCI. So what can we actually do with them in the wild, if you will? And this whole talk, it sounds like, or some of the papers that are in here are really focused on user training, decision making, how it can be augmented. So yeah, this is going to be a killer talk.
Man. And then if that's not enough, you have a follow-up talk for aviation and transportation. So you have several different, presentations here. So it's just, it's what you'd expect for a normal panel session at like HFES. One thing I really like about this schedule of events is it actually has maps for where you can find these. And this is in Gathertown. Oh, now everyone knows where I'm at. We can see. Hang on. Nope, it's not showing up. All right. Anyway, they have a link specifically for where you go. So I presumably you put this in and find it. So anyway, I think that's really cool. I think some of these talks are going to be really cool to attend. You also have neuroergonomics in the wild. So things like, outside, what's, what auditory attended speaker decoding and saliency detection in mobile EEG devices. So there's some really cool talks here. And then we have these fireside events, which are, from what I understand, these fireside events are more like Q&As with these folks. We've been invited to a fireside event, although I think some scheduling issues, I don't know if we'll be able to attend. But I think it's certainly a cool concept where you might just be able to stop by and say hello to somebody, ask a question.
That's rad.
Yeah, we're talking logistics and transport with Stas Krupina. Sorry if I messed that up. And then we also have new media. So there sounds like some cool topics there. You also have a speed dating event. It's like a networking event, I'm sure, that you see in other places. And then you have posters ending out the day.
Wow. Yeah, I gotta say, this conference is very well put together in terms of content from my perspective, because it looks like a really, really good blend of talk showcases, but also like just content itself of being research focused, but also application focused. Because one thing that I was actually really stoked on for Monday is they've got a set of startups that are going to pitch ideas to a lot of these researchers, trying to get them interested in some of the ideas that they're coming up with. and specifically in neurotech and how neuroergonomics can be applied to like tech in the field. So there is just an awesome, array of different types of not only research, but applied work that's being showcased throughout this conference. So that's just really well done on their part.
Yeah, let's get into Tuesday. So this is Tuesday, September 14th. The conference starts at 1 this day. And I like it in the afternoon for Central, because that means we wake up super early at 4 a.m. But I think it's also a pretty acceptable time for a lot of folks around the world. Wow, you saw something? You see something?
Yeah. So I don't know. I talked about this 2 weeks ago when we were talking about video games and attention. So there's this awesome researcher who I've been infatuated with for years, named Daphne I'm going to say her last name wrong. Bavlier. But she is the one that got me so excited about video games, neuroscience, how it can impact training and those kind of things. And it looks like she's actually talking about first-person shooters and some training regimen stuff at this conference. So that's amazing.
We should reach out for an interview.
Yeah, for real. I couldn't do it. I'd have to have you do it. I'd be just too fanboy for it. Yeah, no, seriously, because this particular researcher's lab and her lines of research just really enamored me when I was in school. So this is really amazing. Cool.
Very awesome. Yeah, let's get into Tuesday. So like you said, there's the keynote. This is at 2. But before that, you have more workshops about EEG applications and neuroergonomics. You also have more posters. So, and then like Blake said, you have the keynote. You have more talks on healthcare and methods, which is going to be really interesting to sit through. Sounds like there's some really good talks in there, especially, again, as we're kind of looking at decision for mental ergonomics, thing that's in methods. And then you also have things like stress variations and stress testing in VR, eye tracking systems. So like there's some pretty cool stuff there, right? You also have a panel, Women in Neuroergonomics, really important. Hopefully we can cover that. You also have another keynote here almost towards the end of the day. It looks like it rounds it out before the fireside chat and the social. So you have this keynote here, which is the future of work. So, as work environments and work practices rapidly evolve, what kind of the future is going to look like. So looking forward to that talk as well. Anything else with Tuesday, Blake?
I'm really enamored by this methods portion, because neuroergonomics is not something I'm super versed in or familiar with. I have a textbook that I, pull out every once again when I want to blow my mind, but it would be amazing to sit through these different variations I have on Tuesday of methods they're using, because it's everything from things you can apply normally to using complex tools like EEGs and EMGs. So that would be amazing to just sit through and kind of absorb.
Yeah. All right, let's get into Wednesday here. So again, more posters in the morning. You have a plenary session here, learning and cognitive enhancement. So let's see, there's a lot of things in here. Physiological synchrony for monitoring attentional engagement in a group, harnessing embodied cognition to learn sign language and VR. Lots of VR stuff. I'm really into this. And then from Phineas Gage to current research on executive function in the field of neuroergonomics. So there's a lot of variety in here, which I'm really excited for. And you got this keynote, digital biomarkers, which also sounds interesting. They're looking at it specifically in cars and devices. Anything standing out to you, Blake, so far?
I'm trying to read through this abstract for digital biomarkers, and it is way over my head, but sounds very interesting to sit through and kind of like sift through some of the information to understand what's going on. Because this apparently could have, a lot of different societal effects in a way to like understand how to, mitigate various events that go on in the world like COVID and how we handle it. So that is awesome. One thing that I'm interested in kind of sitting through, this is my aviation background showing, but it looks like they have a fireside chat that's specific to the aviation world. And I would imagine, because it's got representatives from a lot of big airplane companies or aviation companies, would it be cool to see where that line is being connected between neuroergonomics and aviation?
Yeah, agree. You also have a plenary session on mobile imaging and non-invasive brain stimulation, as well as the ethics of AI for neurotechnologies. And then to round out the day, like you said, you have the fireside chats about the aviation and then leader training and selection. And then lastly, here we have this last one, Thursday, September 16th. Again, start the day with posters, plenary session on applied neurotechnology, memory and methods 2, human factors in industry and work, and then looks like a talk on cognitive functioning and social neuroergonomics, and then a closing future of neuroergonomics ceremony. So I like how they kind of round out that last day with forward-looking, what does this field look like?
Absolutely, yeah. One thing that really is shocking to me, because it feels like this field is very diverse in terms of what it could include, but this like applied neurotech talk that's in the afternoon on Thursday is really focused on actually robot design and the implications of designing them with social signals, like understanding social signals or not. And so kind of like turning the paradigms of what you would expect a robot to be designed like on its head, and going through the pros and cons. So there's a lot of really interesting things to go through. And again, some more various gaming things as well throughout the day. And looks like there's also an exoskeleton talk and how BCIs can be put in combination with that. This is really cool, man.
Yeah, anyway, this was just a quick little sample. I know this is like a preview episode of the conference. We hope you are excited for the Neuroergonomics Conference as we are, but that's going to be it for now. Let us know what you guys think of this type of coverage where we preview these conferences with all the things that we're excited about. You can always hang out with us on our Slack or Discord, get to us on any of our social channels. Visit our official website, sign up for our newsletter to stay up to date with all the latest human factors news and conference coverage. If you like what you hear, you want to support the show, there's a couple ways you can do that. 1, you can go and leave us a 5-star review. That's free for you to do. 2, you can tell your friends about us. Word of mouth really helps the show grow, especially around conferences where we get excited about this type of thing. 3, consider supporting us on Patreon. We are listener supported. All that money goes right back into the show. We don't pocket a cent. And as always, links to all of our socials, website can be in the description of this episode. I want to thank Mr. Blake Arnsdorff for hanging out with me and breaking down the preview of the Neuroergonomics Conference. Where can our listeners go and find you if they want to talk about your, what is it? Like a celebrity crush? What is it? What do you want to call it? It's like a,
it's definitely a celebrity researcher crush for real. But yeah, you can always find me in the Human Factors Cast Slack or Discord at Blake, or across social media at Don't Panic UX.
As for me, I've been your host, Nick Roome. You can find me geeking out about this on Twitch every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific, and across social media at Nick_Roome. Thanks again for tuning in to Human Factors Cast. Until next time, it depends.